This is Bits and Bobs with Kits and Bits and your host Lynette Delane.
Okay, so your question was, when do you consider it? Do you wait till you get a difficult client? The business reality means that quite a few people come to me when they've run into a difficulty, and that's fair enough. Now you've got to fix it, and it's a flag, it's a signpost that I need to get my agreements in place.
Yep.
There are some people that by their very nature are anxious about this sort of stuff. So they come for a bit earlier in the process.
Yeah.
And there are some people who, no matter what you tell them about it, will always want to fly under the radar. But then that's the kind of clients they attract. So, the business is very competitive these days. What's the word? It's a small world.
Yes.
So if you're going to do business, be transparent, be upfront. Show how you work, educate your client, give them as much information so that if something is not going right, you've got multiple ways of having a discussion about it, and a framework is already in place.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, then both of you, he said, you said, we said, it starts this terrible kind of spiraling communication, which is bad for everybody. It's a bad outcome all around.
And for me, what quickly happened, so, I came to you as part of, they weren't a negative client, but it was just me going, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not ready for that. But what quickly, while I was working with you on the process, I also then got all of these clients at once, which is a great thing. But it was like, oh, hang on a minute. So when I'm getting a nice stream of clients, I can say to them, oh, look, I can get back, I'll get that back to you in a couple of days or, a week or whatever. And they go, yeah, no worries. And then you do it, and therefore it's fine. But it was when I had multiple clients all coming in at the same time, and it was like, oh, hang on a minute. If I'm doing all of that within a couple of days, I'm not going to sleep for a week. So it was about providing that buffer for me to be able to go, well, yes, in a normal circumstance where I gaps in my calendar, yes, I can get it back to you within a couple of days. However, there will be occasions that might take me a couple of weeks to get it back to you. And if you see my client agreement, that's in there.
Yes. And people will come back to you and they'll say to that, and you know what? That's a perfect invitation for them to discuss any special needs they have, any special requirements, because you want to help your client.
Yeah.
Right. But they can't read your mind that your diary is full or that you're overworked or that, in fact, you won't have capacity for 3 weeks unless you shift people around.
Yeah.
So if your client agreement, one of the things that the client agreement addresses is that conversation or that possibility is that there will, this is my time for turnaround of my documents. If you have a special, and it's represented that way in my client agreement. But if you have a special need or a special requirement for a different deadline, you must discuss it with me. Here's my calendar. I think the thing is to adopt that mentality that your client will always come to the party.
Yes.
Right. If you give them enough information.
Yeah.
And if you give them enough, teaching and enough mentoring to them about how it is your business. You have a right to actually give the best of your business to your client, but they'll only respond in the best way they can if we teach them how to do that.
Yeah.
And marketing is not the only way.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's the thing. People think, oh, I've marketed it. It's on my sales page. That's enough. It's not enough. The sales page is not a legal promise. It's, it's just copy.
Yeah.
They haven't agreed to anything on the sales page.
Yeah.
Whereas when you offer them your terms and conditions and your client agreement, and you invite them to have a look at it, as part of the process of signing up or purchasing a package of programs or whatever service you offer, you'll be surprised how many people read it. And if they don't, it doesn't matter. You've pointed it to, you have been very transparent that it's there. It's very, very reassuring.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I learnt from you in that process was honouring my own time. So one of the things I was doing, with, people would send me half of what I needed. And so instead of going back to them and going, well, actually, I need this, that, and the other, I would just create it. I would go and, if somebody needed a transparent file for their logo, I would go and create that. But when I, if I was to count that, if I did that for every client for free without sort of going back on them, I'm giving away, maybe only 15 minutes per client, but if I add that up, that's turning into hours over a month.
It is. And, you're not, if you're going to do pro bono work in your business, very admirable. And, we all have special soft spots for different areas of not-for-profit work and pro bono work, or even just helping someone. But that is your decision, and that is a separate arrangement. Okay, so pro bono work should be addressed separately, completely separately.
Just on that.
That's a whole nother conversation. So I'm saying to you that with your business terms and conditions, they're really there to. And people say to me, I do a lot of market research and education around people's perceptions of client agreements and business documents that support their business. And so it's a range of things. You pretty much, if you have a new service, again, you go through the process of, okay, is this delivered differently from my services currently? Is it a different business, right? Is it actually being delivered by me, or is it online? Is it offline? Is it a course? What is it? So each time you do that, you have to quality assure the process, right? And that's where the client agreement and the business terms and conditions come in. And each time you do that, you get to know very quickly what's going to work, what's not going to work, and how it fits into the rest of your services and your businesses, because you don't want to be doubling up on processes. No. You don't want to be doubling up on communications, and you also don't want to be selling yourself short. No. So sometimes, your client agreement can contain information that is about your business, and educate people that you actually run multiple businesses in case they're interested in any other service. But for this particular service, this is what the deal is.
Thanks for joining me for Bits and Bobs, an interview series for new business owners looking to avoid the pitfalls that we who have gone before have either already fallen into and climbed out of, or managed to skip over altogether. Please subscribe and watch other episodes where I, along with other business owners, dive into some less talked about and sometimes tough subjects, highlighting some of those I wish I had known topics so that you can get your business going faster and easier. You can find my guest details in the show notes or on my website, kitsandbits.com.au.